Hi, everyone. The conversation you're about to listen to was recorded earlier today. A live presentation just a few scant hours after the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. Now, by the time it's been uploaded to podcast networks, YouTube, SoundCloud, etc., there's some information that's already out of date. For instance, Cranky Kong has been revealed as a character in Donkey Kong Bananza. Yes, the Nintendo Today app included an amended trailer for the game for every territory that has rolled over to April 3rd, which shows Donkey Kong high-fiving Cranky. Cranky who's wielding a shovel, by the way, so we'll just let you try to figure out what that means. Now, obviously, by the time some of you will listen to this episode, the Nintendo Treehouse presentations that will show off Donkey Kong Bananza will have already aired, and we will know far more there is to know about it. So just consider this episode a snapshot in time, immediately after the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, when we didn't know everything. Now, the next episode of The Kongversation will go more in-depth. Donkey Kong Bananza, with all the information we have to date. So, stay tuned. And enjoy.
Quite a clever pun.
Hello, and welcome to The Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I am Malik.
Well, Malik, here we are. A couple of hours removed from the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, a day that has loomed over us since January 16th. The day that Donkey Kong Country Returns HD came out. And I have to admit to you, Malik, I wasn't too fond of that little announcement on January 16th because that was our day. That was Donkey Kong's day. We don't get many days as Donkey Kong fans. And
I know, right?
Right. So they announced that the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct is going to be on April 2nd, the day after April Fool's Day. It's going to be full of pranks and mischief. It's going to practically be Sea of Thieves Season 14 all over again. And I was like, oh, okay, like, they're not going to show off the new Donkey Kong game. The game that DK Vine has been following, the game that we have been doggedly pursuing since 2018. They're not going to show it off first things first when they show off the new Nintendo Switch 2 hardware. They are going to show something safe and reliable. And indeed, Mario Kart was in the preview trailer, right? So I'm thinking, I don't give a shit about you, Nintendo Switch 2. All I care about is Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. It's an HD, Malik. That's marginally better than it was in 2010.
It's a high definition.
Oh my God. So April 2nd has been a day kind of looming over me because it's still a high stress day. Even if I'm not expecting much, even if I'm so browbeaten that I'm just expecting 13 Mario games announced and maybe Donkey Kong will be in the background of one of them. I'm being hyperbolic here, but it's, it's years of conditioning.
Yep.
So
same.
It's like, this is still going to be a big day. I've got to get ready for it. Clear the schedule,
Uh-huh.
And at the very least, as I was telling people in our inner circle, like high tier Patreon Discord server, I was telling people, at the very least, we're going to have the new Mario Kart game. And there's some stuff we can sink our teeth into with the new Mario Kart game. Like, we all want to see the new Donkey Kong game from Nintendo EPD, or at least we believed was from Nintendo EPD, because that's a story we've been chasing for over half a decade. And as much as we want to see it, it doesn't mean we'll see it on April 2nd. It doesn't mean that the unveiling of the Switch 2 is the last possible moment we could ever see it. And the more I thought about it, the more I was talking myself into this. I was like, yeah, they are still promoting Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. The theme park is opening in the US next month. It just makes sense to maybe wait it out a little bit and stagger out the Donkey Kong. If they are truly rebuilding the Donkey Kong brand, I could see Donkey Kong EPD coming out 2026, Big year 2 game, maybe.
Yeah, totally. Feels right.
Yeah. So, I was like, I still got to do a live conversation about the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. I guess we'll talk about the new Mario Kart, and that will be that. And there's one problem with that, though, Malik.
What's that, Hyle?
It's a slight problem. You see, in addition to all of this, way back in season 7 of The Kongversation, specifically episode 728, Cameron and I followed up on a Kongversation 2-parter from the early days of the podcast, where we discussed the Nintendo Power Supplies catalogs of the 1990s and 2000s. We did a deep dive, Cameron and I, on part 3 in season 7 back in 2019. It was a deep dive of the first few years of the Power Supplies catalogs, like all the wacky, nostalgic merchandise therein. Oh, look at how we lived back in the 90s. Oh, how quaint, how charming this was. And it was a good episode. I mean, I enjoyed it. I always enjoy doing that kind of thing. It was always fun doing that with Cameron. But Cameron and I only got halfway through the stack of catalogs on that episode. We ended with the winter 1995 catalog, and we were already over 3 hours at that point. And I was like, all right, we've got to call it. So I promised, in my infinite foresight, because I've been right about so much of my life, that we would pick back up. Oh my God, this is going to only happen to me. We would pick back up and do another Nintendo Power Supplies catalog episode. And I thought, what's a far off season that, surely it'll be kicking the can down the road into a dead period of the year where we won't have E3, we won't have big game reveals. And so I just off the top of my head, I was like, all right, season 13 of The Kongversation, episode 4, episode 1304 of The Kongversation, we will do part 4 of the Nintendo Power Supplies catalog. Malik, now how was I supposed to know that not only would season 13, episode 4 of The Kongversation one day precisely intersect with the reveal of the Switch 2, with the reveal of the first new console Mario Kart game in over 11 years, but also the first new standalone Donkey Kong game in 11 years, the first new 3D Donkey Kong game in over 25 years. How was I supposed to know that? I mean, I should have known, because I feel like I predicted this. I feel like
if anyone should know, it should be you.
some sort of Latin psychic ability. I pulled that number, that season episode number, out of the air because I knew episode 1304 is when we would finally get to talk about Donkey Kong EPD. Now,
I will never doubt you ever again, Hyle. Not to say that I did, but I will never doubt you. Ever.
That's all well and good. And I understand everybody tuning in. We are streaming this live on twitch.tv youtube.com/DKVine, by the way. I understand everybody tuning in right now does not want to hear about the Nintendo Power Supplies catalogs of the 1990s, because you want to hear our thoughts on what we now know is Donkey Kong Bananza, which is a pun, Malik. It is a pun. Please update your spell checkers now.
For the very clever pun, yes.
I already fell foul of this earlier today when, we'll get into it, but we are going to talk about Donkey Kong Bananza. I swear that's the bulk of this episode. But I don't want to be a liar either. I keep my word. I'm a man of integrity, Malik, or at least I try to be. Sometimes I fail, but...
Right.
I said way back when, for 6 years, people have waited for this. And this is how I've decided to split the difference. In the middle of talking about Donkey Kong Bananza, in the middle of talking a little bit about Mario Kart World, we will also talk about selected merchandise from Nintendo Power's Winter 1996 catalog. Now, this is very strategic, okay? I've done this for a reason. Winter 1996 was the tie-in to the just-released Nintendo 64. The last time Donkey Kong has had a 3D adventure. And I thought it would be interesting, on the cusp of the Switch 2, all of the new paraphernalia, accessories that come along with the new Nintendo system. We would look back almost 30 years ago to when there was the launch of the Nintendo 64 in the West and some of the oddball merchandise that Nintendo Power was selling to gullible gamers like me. And it'll just be a nice juxtaposition between then and now. The two eras of 3D Donkey Kong. So I think this is very clever. I think this is very smart. I think this is going to please everyone. You get it, right?
Sure, why not? Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it.
So that's why this episode... That's why this episode is Nintendo Switch 2 Direct: the Nintendo Power Supplies Catalog Part 4.
I just realized that. That's so good.
I don't know how the algorithm is going to respond to this one. They aren't going to know what to do with it.
Maybe they'll just let you be. It's like, you know what? Let's give him one because he predicted this stuff like 6 years ago.
Look, I'm not looking for my flowers. I'm not trying to, because I've thought about this day for almost 7 years now, and I never wanted it to be like, all right, everybody, lap up mother's milk, me being mother in this case. Please celebrate that DK Vine, we were the only outlet to call this. We are the only outlet to report on this. Everybody else didn't even have this on their radar, except when we put it on their radar. Mm-hmm. So, you can say whatever you want about this trailer, about what we've seen today, about what the game is and could be. I understand there's a lot of divided opinions right now, and I think that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to say you have to love this or you're a bad Donkey Kong fan, because honestly, I'm a bit mixed with what I've seen. That doesn't mean I'm not excited. It doesn't mean I'm not looking forward to this, and it doesn't mean I'm not all in on the hype cycle for Donkey Kong Bananza.
Mm-hmm.
But is this really the unveiling I had fantasized about for nearly 7 years? No, it's not.
No.
There's going to be some things to get used to. There are going to be I don't know, allowances made in my brain space to accept what this game is and what it's not. But at the same time, I am pretty pumped right now. I'm really just bewildered right now. I'm kind of in a state of shock. I don't think I've really come down from that first revelation that, oh my God, this is the Donkey Kong trailer. I don't think I've really normalized since around 10 a.m. Eastern time this morning.
Yeah, same. I'm still getting used to it, to the idea.
It's one of those things, like, I thought about this day for a long time. I was like, what do I say when we're proven right? Because so many people didn't believe us because we're DK Vine. Who the hell is that? We don't break news. We're a joke.
Yeah.
And
what is it?
So I at the outset, this is all I'm going to say about this. I'm not going to like suck my own cock too much.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, don't worry. It's a family show. None of that's going to happen. But I want to say how immensely proud I am of DK Vine, the institution, not just myself, but the entire team at DK Vine, for following the story, for accurately reporting everything we knew at the time, for really following the complete development history of Donkey Kong since 2014. All of the things that were not known to prying eyes, we've been on top of it. And yeah, at a certain point, we did not know how this game was shaping up because it was being developed internally at Nintendo and, behind closed doors, security be tight, but we knew it was being developed there, and that has borne fruit. That has proven true. And I don't want anybody to doubt us again. Damn it. Just like...
Exactly. That's what I was saying. It's like, you all better shut your mouths from here on out. When DK Vine breaks news, you listen, and you listen good.
It's a big day for independent Donkey Kong journalism. You can't say that often.
Yeah, you can now, though.
Well, today, April 2nd, not Fullen. It's a win for Donkey Kong journalist above all else. But I want to thank everybody, too. All of my patrons, everybody who has followed DK Vine and kind of kept the faith through the long trek through the wilderness that the last 11 years have been. I mean, there's obviously been exciting ebbs and flows. There have been lots of great things in the past 11 years, but I know the new Donkey Kong game is what everyone, broadly speaking, has been after, and we made it. I mean, it's done. We're here. And that's
Feels
pretty
good.
wild. So, like, thank you, everyone who listens to the Kongversation, for sticking with us and believing in our reporting and our recounting of events. It really does mean a lot that you put your trust in us, and I'm glad we didn't lead you astray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody give yourself a pat on the back. Drink some Angry Orchard if you got it.
Yay! Yay!
Drink some Baja
we're the
Blast.
best.
That's what I meant.
All right. That being said, Malik.
Yeah.
Page 2 of the Winter 1996 Nintendo Power Supplies catalog. This is weird. This is so weird. The 10 toughest stars VHS tape for Super Mario 64. Just to show you how out of time this is. Nintendo Power was selling a $12 US currency VHS tape. $18, your neck of the woods, Malik.
Oh my god, yeah. I was going to say like 50, but sure, I'll believe you.
Has anybody uploaded this to YouTube, I wonder?
I haven't seen this myself. This is new to me.
Okay, so it's called the 10 Toughest Stars video. And, Nintendo's got to launch a new system with 3D Mario. It's just unheard of that they wouldn't launch a new system with 3D Mario. So, of course, you got to see 3D Mario when they unveil the new system. They're just like, what, are they going to show Donkey Kong? Are they going to show 3D Donkey Kong instead?
What is this, 2025?
So, the 10 Toughest Stars video, the description is, having a little trouble finding the stolen Power Stars? Uncover the secrets of obtaining the 10 toughest stars in Super Mario 64 with this insightful video. Sometimes it's hard to get a handle on exactly where you need to be in Mario's complex 3D world. This video will solve that problem. How utterly quaint, Malik. This is exactly the kind of clickbait video you would see somebody make today, like the 10 toughest stars in Super Mario 64, like the listicle kind of countdown sort of thing. It's very easy content to produce.
Yeah.
And
it's completely subjective too. What if there's a star in there? It's like, I didn't have trouble with any of these.
Well, this is Nintendo Power. They're the experts.
Oh, of course. Right. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So it's just wild to me that, in the era, obviously YouTube would not start until a decade after this, but this is kind of almost predictive of a whole sort of media empire of video game entertainment. Like they were on to the future here with his $12 VHS tape.
That's fascinating. If I could pay $12 to see the future,
Yeah.
I would have made a lot of better decisions with my life.
Honestly, for Donkey Kong Bonanza, I'm probably now going to have to do a 10 toughest granite banana
Granted,
or I don't know what they are. I don't know really much about this game yet. I'm still kind of in my trailer fugue that I've talked about so many times, where there's a new major DKU game that's announced, and I can't process it. My brain cannot hold in all of the new information, the new reality that is this new game. And so I'm seeing like hallucinations. I'm misinterpreting things. It took me a couple of hours to write my article in DK Vine about Donkey Kong Bonanza because I wasn't sure if what I was seeing was accurate. And I'm still kind of feeling like I'm untethered from my physical body. Like, this is what astral projection feels like.
Feels pretty good if Donkey Kong is there.
So yeah, Malik, like the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, it started with Mario Kart, which we now know to be Mario Kart World. And I think it was Traveler of the Stars, hello Traveler, who asked me on Blue Sky a couple days ago, like, do you think it's going to be continuing the Arabic numeral naming convention of Mario Kart 7 and Mario Kart 8, or do you think they're going to have like a proper subtitle or just word? And I said word. I said I don't think they're going to do the number because it would confuse people, because so many people don't consider Mario Kart Tour to be Mario Kart 9. And Mario Kart Tour, by Nintendo's viewpoint, is Mario Kart 9.
Huh. That I never thought of it that way. But yeah, interesting. I had no idea I thought they were going to call it 9 personally. And then when I saw World Tour, I was like, oh, that's so Nintendo of you.
The thing about Mario Kart World is it definitely feels like it's carrying over a lot of influence from Mario Kart Tour, but in a proper console Mario Kart game, including, and this is again, I don't mean to keep singling you out, Traveler of the Stars, but Luigi with the big sausage could very well be in Mario Kart World, because we got costumes in this game. We got racing outfits in this game.
Oh, heck yeah. I saw Luigi with a big sun hat, I think that was.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, now, I barely been able to keep up with Mario Kart World. We will do a proper Mario Kart World episode. We're going to do analysis of that. We're still going to cover Mario Kart World, even though we have something much bigger for our fandom just a couple of months after that. But it is very exciting for me as somebody who, can I admit something to you, Malik?
Okay, sure. Why not?
I still play Mario Kart Tour every day.
No kidding.
No kidding. My rank, I'm at rank 97. I'm very nearly there. I'm very nearly there where I can say I have beaten Mario Kart Tour. But Mario Kart Tour is just a nice kind of... I already discussed what I actually like about Mario Kart Tour in a previous conversation, where it's not a traditional Mario Kart game, but you can really get a good kind of flow going with that, where it's very much about performing tricks. It's very much about not so much racing, but more about style. It is style over substance, but in this case, that's by design. And I just like the way it can feel when you're really just like racking up those combos and just completely wrecking everyone with your giant banana peels and getting a new point record. And there's something very fulfilling when you actually advance in Mario Kart Tour enough that you have like maxed out characters and you can just lay waste to both computer players and real human players around the world. So one of my hopes for the new console Mario Kart game was that they would be bringing in not the like gacha style mechanics that Mario Kart Tour is known for, but really taking in that diversity of content in Mario Kart Tour and applying it to Mario Kart World. Because going back to 8 Deluxe with the Booster Course Pass, you know, when we got Diddy and Funky in the game, and it was just like, all right, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, finally, I can enjoy it. It always felt a bit lacking in certain areas coming back from Mario Kart Tour. And I do think that like having a lot of the elements of Tour in there, but in a more reasonable kind of rollout. Like we don't know a lot about either of these games yet, Mario Kart World or Bananza, but yeah, I'm optimistic. I love the rail grinding. I mean, it's very Tony Hawk. It's very, speak of Vicarious Visions, that was going to be the big mechanic in Donkey Kong Freedom. It's grinding, vine grinding. That's what they called it. Vine grinding with banana peels. And, we got a little bit of that in World. And, we saw a new Donkey Kong stage. By the way, did you see the new Donkey Kong course, Malik?
Yes, I did, and it kind of looks like you said it kind of looked like that stage from Barrel Blast. It's been a while, but I'll have to take a look at it again.
Eagle-eyed viewers of the Direct would have seen a stage select at one point, a course select, a track select in Mario Kart World, and listed among them was DK Spaceport.
Oh, so it actually is.
Yeah. It's not just like visually reminiscent of Cosmic Highway from Barrel Blast / Jet Race. This is actually a spaceport for the Donkey Kongs. Like the Kongs are a spacefaring people. And if there's any doubt about it, they actually have their own spaceport now.
That's awesome. I do like what I've seen of that stage.
Yeah, it's like actually Cosmic Highway had a bit of nods to the arcade era. You had some girder iconography kind of blended in. This is much more overt with it. You got the girders forming this spaceport, which I love, the blend of the past and the future. It's a nice kind of bringing like two wildly disparate eras together. And we've never had a DK arcade stage in Mario Kart. Never. So...
yeah, it's all jungles and snow ski resorts.
Yeah. Any other time, I would have been like, I almost wish they would have just gone for a straight up girder, like DK arcade construction site. But given what I know are a lot of the debates in the fandom right now with Donkey Kong Bananza and where certain rare characters are standing, I'm kind of glad they didn't do that and they went with something different just because we didn't need one more pylon for the naysayers or the doomsayers. Like at the very least, this is something fresh. It actually adds to the mythology of Donkey Kong rather than just being this weird tangent. Like DK Pass, and it's just why? What does this have to do with Donkey Kong?
I think there was snow at some point on the mountains. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that like this is exciting. I'm looking forward to more about this in the live stream. I'm going to try to keep up with the live stream, everyone. There's too many people. Blonky19 said, "Did your brain explode this morning?" My brain is still exploding, Blonky. I can't get my wits about me. I'm scattered. I'm scattered in a million pieces.
My brain's on fire right now. How about yours? Chat.
Yeah. What did I think of DK with overalls, Hyle? I'll get to it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna save that all for when we actually get to talk about it. But I think I
yeah.
Say.
Mario Kart World also has exploration. There's a lot of features taken over from Tour, including the knockout mode. That's actually like one of the ancillary challenges you can do every couple tours in Mario Kart Tour. There's a race where you just got to like continually like progress past checkpoints and not fall behind. And, you know, stuff like that. So I like that, but the mode I'm most excited about is the free range mode where you can just drive off track without Lakitu being all up your ass.
I just hear that mode and it makes me hungry. I know you're vegan. So
I'm a vegan, so for me, free range just means frolicking with my chicken pals.
Yep.
But
free range mode.
Yeah, like, this is what I wanted in a Mario Kart game. I've actively hated the direction the Mario Kart franchise has gone since Mario Kart 64. Because Mario Kart 64, you could go off-road a little bit. You could, I mean, obviously the one that always comes to mind is Royal Raceway, driving around Peach's Castle with Donkey Kong. You know, look, Donkey Kong's in Super Mario 64. We might have to wait 3 years for a 3D Donkey Kong game, but I can kind of pretend I'm in it now. The ability to kind of bend how far you go off track was also something that was very fun about Mario Kart 64. Like there were times where you could almost like jerry-rig your character past a certain point. It's like, ooh, I can drive off here. And of course, Diddy Kong Racing had no limits. I mean, obviously there were barriers. You could only go so far, but there was no finger-wagging turtle to pull you out of the fun. You'd have to rescue yourself. But the upside to that was you could also just see a lot of the little details, you know, where allotted. And that was really cool. So to have an off-road mode in Mario Kart, I'll call it off-road mode instead of free-range mode, Malik.
No, keep calling it free-range.
It just makes me want drumstick in the game, and then I'm going to get angry about it. But
it just makes me want drumsticks.
To each his own. But I think that this is enough of a boost for the way I play video games. Even though boundary breaking scares me, I love exploration. So yeah, like I'm all for this. This might not be Diddy Kong Racing, and Mario Kart might still not be up to Diddy Kong Racing's level. But Mario Kart World, at the very least, is introducing features that are right up my alley, right up my space, what was it? Space Dust Alley?
Space Dust Alley. Sure.
It's right up that alley. And I'm excited about Mario Kart World. I'm not that excited about the pricing. No. What was the price, Malik? What did you see?
I don't know. I've seen a bajillion different prices, and they're all in USD, which means I can't afford it regardless.
Oh, but you don't have the tariffs. You don't have the tariffs, Malik. It might be cheaper in Canada.
Maybe? I don't know. I'm broke either way.
I might have to get you to pick me up the Switch too, if I'm honest. But
oh, don't put that much faith in me, Hyle, please. I don't want to let you down.
Yeah, we'll talk about Mario Kart World quite a bit in the future, but so far, everything looks pretty cool. I really like the way Donkey Kong looks in it. Obviously, we got much better glimpses of Donkey Kong's new model in the second game today, but at the time, seeing Donkey Kong, there's a little bit of a spotlight on him in the trailer, and I was like, yeah, you know what? He looks great. I'm fine with the way he looks in this game. Like I said in the episode I did with Dustin a couple weeks ago, this will never be my favorite Donkey Kong model. I will always have a preference for the original 1994 look for Donkey Kong and all the deviations that came after, but I don't mind this Donkey Kong.
Yeah, no, he's all right. I'm not losing sleep over seeing this Donkey Kong.
I mean, you really like this design though, don't you, Malik?
I'm okay with it. Yeah, I like it. Like when I saw everybody flipping their minds over it, I was like, what's the big deal? It still looks like Donkey Kong to me. Y'all need to chill.
I think seeing him in animation and seeing a wide breadth of animations will hopefully have calmed some people down about it. Like, obviously, it's a lot more... I mean, I hate to say this. I hate to say that it's more expressive because it feels like I'm saying that there was something wrong with the old design, and I don't believe there was. But
yeah,
I think allowing him a little bit more ability to have cartoony expressions and emotes, it's fine. Like I said, it's never going to be my preference, but it's also not something to lose sleep over either. I can grow to love this just fine. And there's something I like about it too. When you just think of it in the perspective of this, we have seen characters age up in the DKU before. So this is just the next step in Donkey Kong aging up, like Tiny Kong becoming a teenager.
We've also seen characters die in the DKU, so what's the next step for DK?
Let's cherish the time we have with him at all. Honestly.
Right.
Yeah, he could be meeting his maker and joining his mom/grandmom anytime now. Like, who knows? Donkey Kong might die at the end of Donkey Kong Bananza.
I'm banking on it.
That's the big twist at the end of the game is Donkey Kong dies and his little rock buddy becomes the new star of the series.
Stony Kong.
So, obviously, we want to move on. We want to move on to the big banana of the Direct. But there's some other things to discuss, such as, once again, on page 2 of the Nintendo Power Supplies catalog from winter 1996, Malik, cast your eyes to the N64 Traveler. It's the Nintendo 64 carrying case. And again, I want to put this into perspective because we all are familiar with the Switch carrying cases and soon to be Switch 2 carrying cases, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're little, like, almost little tiny purses. You just pick up and go. You've got lots of fun designs based on different games. They have one for Donkey Kong Country Returns HD that's new. And, it's a way to, travel and take your system and games on the go. Back in 1996, the Nintendo 64, you had to plug it into your TV. And so the only way to carry everything around was in a big suitcase.
I like it. I just love how, everything fits in so nicely. And I kind of want something like this.
It's really nice. One of the best things I own is the plastic Virtual Boy carrying case I got from Blockbuster Video when they decided to stop carrying Virtual Boy games. And it's a great way to like house your Virtual Boy because you don't want that just sitting out on your desk all the time. But
yeah, no, especially if you're self-conscious about buying a Virtual Boy, which I know
Shut
you're
your
not, Hyle,
mouth, Malik! The Virtual Boy is underrated. It didn't have time to find its audience, but the Donkey Kong game for Virtual Boy would have been amazing. We lost out.
For sure. I knew you'd take offense to that, which is why I went through with it.
This isn't a joke, Malik. I don't know why you're laughing so much. Oh, tee hee hee, the
That's Virtual
Boy. Somebody speaking positively about the Virtual Boy. Yeah, because you know what? I've played it. I've smelled it. I've breathed in its foamy air, and I love it. Now, I say that, but probably playing it as an adult would be murder on my upper back, so probably for the best that I don't have to play it anymore.
Probably for the best.
No, but the N64 Traveler, $22 US, $34 Canadian, but that's pretty reasonable considering the size, and it fits your actual console. It fits one controller, which doesn't seem like enough if you want to play multiplayer. That's not worth it then. But you got room for all your AV cables. Remember AV cables? Remember when you had all these wires, the 3 different colors? Jeez.
Oh, I still do. I'm getting new to this whole HDMI thing still. Still
as somebody who has to get a lot of video footage from video games, that HDMI cable's a lifesaver because you don't really have to do all that much. You just boop, 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 back and forth.
Oh, totally.
I can't with these AV cables. I always had to go to my dad and I was like, Father, may you set up my system for me? I don't know how. I'm just a baby. Anyway,
I believe
it also holds various games in a mesh netting, which I love a mesh netting.
Me too. I'm oddly nostalgic for those. Whenever I see one, I'm like, ooh.
Oh, all right. So one of the other big announcements pertaining to Nintendo Switch Online. No, it's not Diddy Kong Racing, unfortunately, but we are getting, as predicted by many outlets, the Nintendo GameCube app for Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. And, we saw Mario Strikers on there as far as the games that are coming soon. So I'm glad we're going to have GameCube on there. It's about time.
Yeah, how many rare games do you think are going to show up on there?
Probably just one.
Only one.
Yeah, I would love if Donkey Kong Racing and Cameo Elements of Power and Saberman riding a dolphin, Banjo 3, Grabbed by the Ghoulies.
No, that never got made. That was never being made for the GameCube, and you know it.
I know it. I'm just chumming the waters right now.
Getting back at me for that Virtual Boy crack. I see.
All right, yeah. So, yeah, I'm happy about this. Obviously, the GameCube is not a system that I am ultra nostalgic for. I mean, I'm nostalgic for it. I have GameCube nostalgia, but it's never going to resonate with me quite as much as the N64. And that's just because of how damn old and busted I am.
Well, I'm sort of in the same camp as you, where I am sort of nostalgic for the GameCube in that I wanted one as a child but never got one until 2008. But now I'm swimming in GameCube games, so I don't need this thing right now, especially if it's going to cost me an extra leg.
I really am looking forward to Star Fox Adventures, though, coming to NSO. And I think it's only a matter of time. Obviously, they didn't show it today, but all they need to do is just call up Rare and be like, Star Fox Adventures, please? And I talked to my dad when I wanted him to hook up my console. And, oh, please, Mr. Ware, can I have some Star Fox Adventures?
Can we have our consumers go through Thorntail Hollow again?
Thorntail Hollow? And look, if we can have GameCube caliber games, then who knows where the limit is? Because one of my dreams, or recent dreams, let's say, I haven't been dreaming about this for too long, is to finally get grabbed by the Ghoulies on a Nintendo console. And
same here, actually.
Yeah, I think, obviously Ghoulies started off as a GameCube title, and then the buyout shifted it to Xbox, and it was Rare's first Xbox platform game. But I think Ghoulies could find an audience on a Nintendo system, and it would be wonderful for it to, just like Rare Replay sort of gave it another shot in the arm, another chance of exposure, and people discovered it for the first time there.
Yep, that's how I discovered it. So, yeah.
So, yeah, like, I'm thinking, we have the Genesis player as part of NSO. We might even maybe one day have an Xbox player on there. Like, that might be a bit too far, but I could definitely see, given the way Microsoft is treating the Xbox library now, the possibility that we would get vintage Rare games from that era, from the post-Nintendo console era, on NSO. So, maybe even in the future we would get things like Cameo, Elements of Power, Viva Pinata. Could you imagine that?
That'd be so cool.
Nuts and bolts, maybe. Like, obviously, there's a lot of infrastructure that you have to weigh, and I don't know how well it would work. People who say they want Rare Replay on Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch 2, that overlooks the fact that so much of Rare Replay's backend isn't possible outside of the Xbox platform. Like, all the 360 era games are running independently of the Rare Replay software. So I don't know,
it's
but
like those it's like those carnival attractions outside the fairgrounds, sort of. You know what I mean? If Rare Replay is like a carnival, those games are sort of like it's not really part of the carnival, but you can still go there.
I don't know what carnivals you're going to, Malik, where people are just setting up adjacent to the carnival and luring people in. That's serial killer. That's serial killer shit, Malik.
Like
that's
restaurants and stuff, pop-up thingies, or, a restaurant outside the venue.
I'm worried about you now, Malik. I feel like you're going to go into some strange tent. You're going to go into some stranger's tent and you're going to get murdered by a killer clown.
It's okay. I'll be okay. I'll exercise caution. I've thought about this for a long time. You don't think I haven't thought about the various scenarios that could happen to me.
Oh, okay. Well, I worry about too much these days, Malik. The last thing I need to do is worry about my buddy up north wandering into some cannibal clown's mouth.
No, I can't afford to do that right now.
What? Get yourself eaten?
Yeah, no, especially not with Bananza coming out. It's like, no, I really have to make sure I don't get eaten, I don't get bitten and get rabies by something. It's like, it's not worth it right now.
At least you get free healthcare.
I guess, but I don't want to go into the place.
Man,
it's still a scary hospital.
if I had free healthcare, I would let so many strangers bite me.
Now I'm worried about you.
No, I mean, don't worry. I don't have free healthcare. That's not even on the table right now. So I'm just saying, if I lived in a different country, yeah, I would just be like,
you'd let people bite you.
Just treat me as your buffet.
Free range Hyle.
So anyway, NSO, I'm still pretty pumped that NSO is carrying forward. It obviously means only good things for Rare fans, for fans of the DKU. And hey, look, just putting this out there too. Nintendo did patent or repatent new versions of what looks to be the DK bongos several years ago. So if we have GameCube on NSO, it's only a matter of time until we could get the Donkey Konga series or Jungle Beat, even, as it was originally meant to be, played with the DK bongos.
I'm betting on it.
Totally. You're betting on that, yeah. I mean, it's possible. It's within the realm of possibility now. I don't know if they would actually market new versions of the DK bongos, but they're doing a new GameCube controller that you can get for Nintendo Switch. So, I mean, it's a bit more limited, the DK bongos, but as far as like a small run of them, yeah, like, sure, maybe. They are investing in Donkey Kong right now, so anything's possible.
Totally, yeah.
Well, Malik, there's something else that we really, really need to discuss. And by that, I mean on page 4 of the winter 1996 Nintendo Power Supplies catalog. I was complaining that the aforementioned N64 Traveler could only carry one N64 controller, a system renowned for having 4 controller ports. That was the big innovation at the time. What are you going to do when you want to play Wave Race 64 with friends? What are you going to do?
Pay 34 Canadian dollars to get this?
$22 US, $34 Canadian, which, by the way, is the exact same amount of money as the N64 Traveler. Oh, this is how they get you. It's It's the N64 controller carrier. It's a separate little satchel just for a second N64 controller. Now, you don't need to pair this with the N64 Traveler, Malik. This is for if you go over to your chum's house, your buddy, your
patriots,
life mate,
comrades,
your amigo. This is what you do when you're like, let's play a game together. Is you bring your own N64 controller, but you don't just bring it with you dangling that cord along the dusty road. You put it in the N64 controller carrier, and this rugged nylon bag with shoulder strap will hold your N64 controller along with 2 game packs.
Oh, heck yeah. I like the first sentence of this too. It almost sounds threatening. Just don't even think about leaving home without this rugged nylon bag with shoulder strap. It's like, yes, sir. I won't.
That's where I went wrong in my life. I only thought about leaving home without that rugged nylon bag with shoulder strap. And look how I turned out.
Yeah, you carried it in a backpack like an idiot. Probably.
No, I would just like put it in a plastic bag. Like,
not even, ew.
Ew. I'd be like, oh, let me get the bag from Walmart or wherever my parents shop. Then let me put it in this bag, and I'll haul it around to Elliot's house so we can play Mario Kart 64 battle mode.
Ugh, no, I just default to my backpack. No, that's gross. Those bags are for snacks to bring to the place, Hyle.
Oh, no. The backpack, it would get crushed by all your Nintendo Power Players guides, Malik. Anyway.
I don't have any.
The other interesting thing about the N64 controller carrier is it has 2 mini pockets, and according to Nintendo Power, that's for top secret stuff, like your N64 controller packs. Top secret. You can't let anybody know you have these illicit controller packs with you. The contraband.
I was going to say drugs, if you believe in such things, but
This is how Funky Kong smuggled weed back in the day. Before it was legalized. When Donkey Kong became Jungle Hero and DK King of Swing and became the leader of Donkey Kong Island, he did legalize it for his buddy Funky. But under the rule of Cranky, yeah, Funky had to put it in top secret compartments in N64 controller carriers.
Yep, these were the days before Dr. Dank.
Thank you for remembering Dr. Dank.
I can't forget Dr. Dank.
For those who don't recall, I used to live across from a dispensary called Dr. Dank's. Sadly, Dr. Dank's shut down. I think they were shut down by the government because I don't think he was a real doctor.
It's a dark day for Dr. Dank.
Yeah. So, make sure you don't promote yourself falsely. He didn't have the credentials to be the true Dr. Dank. The true Dr. Dank has yet to be crowned.
The credentials.
It's probably because I've been running on pure adrenaline for the past 5 hours, but that was funny. All right. Malik.
Yeah.
Did you ever think they were going to close with a Donkey Kong trailer?
No. Why on God's green earth would I ever think that?
Because you believe DK Vine's reporting that Nintendo EPD...
Oh, right. Shoot, yeah, that's what I said. Sorry, Hyle. Well, I didn't think they would show it at the end, but you know what I mean.
Okay. So
it was coming.
Here's my train of thought going into today, and my train of thought as the direct progressed. Because nothing leaked from this direct, really. I mean, nothing really got out there as far as what we would see, how we would see it. It was pretty secure as far as Nintendo Directs go. And maybe that bit them in the ass because the Nintendo of America live stream ran into some severe technical difficulties about 45 minutes in.
Well, for me, it kicked in for like 10 minutes in, just around the time they were starting to talk about game chat and the frame drops and everything was happening. And it's like, oh my God. When I was watching the stream the first time, I was like, this does not bode well. The game chat thing looks awful. And the live stream, the pre-recorded live stream is getting borked.
Yeah. So I first started noticing a little bit of visual glitches and hiccups early on. Like little screen stutters and fragmentation. And I was just like, ugh, too many people are watching this YouTube video. And
is that what does it?
And then eventually, because a lot of the devs, a lot of the behind the scenes talent who appear on these things are dubbed in English. I mean, you don't actually hear them if you are an English language speaker or not Japanese, I should say, then you don't really have to worry about sync too much. But then they started having some European devs and American devs on. And that's when I started noticing, oh wait, the audio is several seconds out of sync.
Yup. I swapped over
and then
to
at
the
a certain
UK
point, I think it was around the time I said, the screen just froze. And the audio kept going. It's the only time in my life I've ever opened the chat, the YouTube chat, to see if it was happening to everyone else or if it was just unique to me. And yeah, it was happening to everyone else. I was like, okay, well, that's pretty funny. I feel bad. Obviously somebody got chewed out for this, but I hope not too much because I'm sure there's only so much you can account for when you have such a massive text on your systems. But thankfully, Matt Corna popped into the inner circle and was like, hey, the UK stream is working fine. And I was just like, yeah, let's jump over to the Nintendo UK stream. And then from there on, it was smooth sailing. So, and I didn't miss any big grand reveal when it came to the main event.
Yeah, same here. Thank God.
So, going into today, I already explained my philosophy. I didn't think, or rather, I thought there was a possibility we would see it today, but I didn't want to talk myself into it because the last thing I needed to do was go into this with any expectations at all. That is just poison to actually enjoying what you get. Right. And I wanted to enjoy Mario Kart World as we now know it. And, if I'm thinking, okay, Mario Kart World, but the new Donkey Kong game is what I really want to see, then it's going to make Mario Kart and honestly any other announcement seem pretty weak. And I didn't want to do that to those games or any games that we might see, even games that I don't really have much of an interest in. Or any interest in at all. I still don't want to just be like, fuck you, you're not Donkey Kong, die, like I used to back in my younger days.
Yeah. I mean, I still do that sometimes when I see a Civilization or whatever, I just pretend to snore.
See, I don't mind Civilization so much, but the one game that, I forget, Blood something? I don't know.
Blood something.
Something. It just I lost interest because I'm sure it's going to be incredible, but visually it did nothing for me. And it just was let's get to the end. Let's just get to the end. So
I get that.
And you've already seen the way I actually interact with these Nintendo Directs. The one time I pointed a camera at me was at E3 2019 when Cameron, Jeff, and Mitchell and I were all watching the Nintendo Direct together, and they revealed Banjo and Kazooie in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and then I just got up. I was like, I'm done with the Direct, and it was the
Mitchell denounced his hate for you.
Yeah, I mean, no, but like after that, it was the Zelda trailer, and I was like, I don't need to worry about this. I'm gonna go do the work I have to do now as editor-in-chief of DK Vine, which is scream about Banjo and Kazooie for the next 72 hours.
Yeah, same. No, I get that. When I saw Zelda's, oh, Zelda. Okay, I'm good, though. I saw everything that I needed to see.
So yeah, like I was just like, at a certain point, especially after we had to jump stream, I was just like, let's just get this over with so I can focus on Mario Kart World and, you know, maybe have some semblance of a life for the rest of the week.
This is your life, Hyle.
Yeah, like I was like, well, there goes my Wednesday, there goes my Thursday, there goes my Friday. Maybe by Saturday, I'll have a shot. But I started wondering, honestly, maybe it was around the time we saw Kirby. And did you think Kirby was going to be some Smash announcement at first?
I did not. I just saw Kirby and I was like, oh, look, it's more Kirby.
Well, just something about the style and the sound effects. It made it feel like a Smash trailer, a Smash reveal trailer. And, you know, Sakurai, who is behind the new Kirby Air Ride game. Air Riders, was it? I don't know. But
yeah, Air Riders.
It just had the whiff of Sakurai. And I was like, oh, God, they're not doing another Smash, are they? Because it's one thing to be open-minded about Mario Kart despite not seeing Diddy Kong in it. It's another thing to have to live through a Smash hype cycle all over again. And I was like, no, like, I want Smash Ultimate to just carry forward. I want it to, persist as the definitive Smash Brothers. Like, maybe if they just add stuff to it, like, we didn't talk about the whole, like, Nintendo Switch 2 upgraded editions of certain Switch games, but I was like, I would allow that if it got us more arenas, maybe a couple more characters, just add to what we already have rather than starting from scratch again, because I can't go through that. I can't go through that another time in my life, Malik. The fear, the trepidation, the battles and debates, and like, oh, is Dixie Kong gonna be in this one? Oh no, are they gonna remove Banjo and Kazooie and King K. Rool? And oh no.
Yeah, no, I'm spent on Smash. Like, I got everything I wanted for the most part, so I'm like, I'm good for at least another 10 years.
For the most part, I got everything I wanted. Obviously, I wouldn't turn up my nose at Dixie or Cranky or Conker, but at the same time, like, I'm kind of at a happy point with Smash, and I'm just like, let's just go our mutual ways. We had a good time. We laughed, we loved, we learned about each other, but now I'm ready to go this way, and you're ready to go that way, Smash. We don't need our paths to intersect again for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
So
totally, I get that.
So seeing Kirby in a new Kirby Air Ride game, I was like, all right. It started with Mario Kart. And then we saw like a new Hyrule Warriors game. So I was like, well, I don't think we're going to see, especially so soon after the last major Zelda game, I don't think we're going to see any Zelda things. Like Metroid Prime 4, that's off the table. And I started thinking about really what would Nintendo have to show off. And of course, 95% of people would have said 3D Mario. But I was like, the only game they've shown off that's really ready to go is Mario Kart World. Like the only like marketable game. I'm not talking about the system tour game or whatever, but like the big high profile Nintendo IP. So I was like, if there was a 3D Mario game coming out soon, would they really just double dip with Mario? I mean, sure, it's Nintendo. They might, but the realization or the nagging feeling that something was coming, something was up, really started setting in around that time. And I started thinking, honestly, it might be Donkey Kong. Like, I can't think of anything else that it could be, especially knowing how long they've supposedly been developing Donkey Kong. But I still didn't want to believe it. It was still like, my brain said no, but my heart was starting to say yes. All right. All right. So they did this is our final game that we're showing off for this Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. And I was like, all right, well, let's get it over with so I can talk about Mario Kart World and talk about DK Spaceport for the next 3 months or whatever, however long I'm going to talk about it. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off.
Right, yeah.
And, you know, as the trailer started, I couldn't help but think back to the Nintendo Power Supplies catalog from winter 1996. Specifically page 5. Because here we are, just huddled around our monitors, our devices, waiting to see footage of a new video game. A big launch title or near launch title for the Nintendo Switch 2. And I remembered back when viewing even screenshots was such a privilege. Specifically such a privilege that Nintendo Power would sell an N64 screensaver for your PC. Do you remember this, Malik?
Yeah, it's got black. What, screensavers in general, or this mouse pad?
No. Do you specifically remember the N64 screensaver and mouse pad from the winter 1996 Nintendo Power Supplies catalog? $20 US, $31 Canadian.
I was not lucky enough to remember that. No, this is the first time I'm seeing it.
Yeah, so Nintendo sold a CD that you could then install a screensaver that would then rotate, and I quote, this is the pitch, this is the whole pitch, surf www.nintendo.com using this way cool Super Mario mouse pad. Includes Windows screensaver with exclusive high-res N64 screenshots and graphics. You can see a screenshot of Peach talking to Mario from the end of Super Mario 64, which, spoilers much.
Yeah, what the heck?
Like, what if Mario died at the end of Super Mario 64? You wouldn't spoil that, therefore I know he lives. He survives.
Wouldn't that be great if one of the screenshots was like dead Mario?
Peach and Toad and Yoshi at his funeral, just sobbing.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd buy that.
Malik, like earlier today, I uploaded 17 extremely high-res screenshots of Donkey Kong Bananza to DK Vine's gallery. I didn't have to buy an N64 screensaver for $20 my currency.
But it's still way cool.
What a wild, weird time 1996 was. I mean, in some ways, how quaint that such a thing like a screenshot. I can put a screenshot on my computer? What?
Say what?
I kind of miss it. I honestly kind of miss it.
I'd like some Blast Core screenshots on my screen for a screensaver.
Yeah. That's the thing. This wasn't just Super Mario 64. This was also Wave Race 64 and Blast Core was included.
That's so awesome. Blast Core needs more recognition.
Just in case you forgot how tightly interwoven Rare and Nintendo were back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So, honestly, let's just finish the catalog bit of this because I could feel the crowd getting antsy, and I do want to just focus the rest of the episode after this on Donkey Kong Bonanza. Malik, something near to my heart. I'm not going to snark on this. Page 8, N64 game protectors. Now, these are little plastic clamshells you could put your cartridge in. Little, like, lightly blue tinted. And here's the thing, Malik. For $10 US, $15 Canadian, you got 5 plastic cases. Because this is before you had, like, this is right that in-between state where games, Nintendo games, were not being bundled with protective cases. Of course, the NES cartridges had the little plastic sleeves, the little, like, black sleeves. Game Boy originally had the plastic clear clamshells. Super Nintendo games originally had those small, clear, like, little trays they slid into, but they eventually discontinued those for both Super Nintendo and Game Boy. And N64 didn't have anything. So if you wanted to protect your cartridge, you had to go to Nintendo Power Supplies and get these game protectors. And Malik, I bought like 25 of these. I mean, 5 bundles. 5 bundles. This is what my DKU N64 games are still in to this day.
Oh, that's awesome.
One of the best things I ever bought from the Power Supplies catalog. Certainly better than if I had bought the N64 System House, which, if you want something a little bit more homegrown than the carry case, than the travel case, you could get a plastic, like a black plastic, I don't even know, sarcophagus for your N64. And it only has room for 10 game packs though, which seems scanty. Doesn't seem like enough.
Yeah.
Like it's not even enough to house all your DKU N64 games. No, thank you. For $35 US, $54 Canadian, that's a ripoff. That's
too rich for my blood.
You could also get the game pack rack for your N64 games, which is a little bit better. You can hold up to 21 game packs in this, but I don't know. It still feels like the one big problem of this is there are no labels on the N64 cartridge tops, so you don't know what you're pulling out. You don't know. Totally. There's no way to actually visually display these and know which game is which unless you have a photographic memory. It sucks. It sucks.
It does.
$21 US, $32 Canadian. It's okay, but you know.
Yeah, it's all right.
Finally, let's wrap this up. I want to point your attention to page 11, all the way at the very end of the ones I provided you. Nintendo pop-up calculator clock. The original Nintendo Alarmo is the pop-up calculator clock. For only $10 US, $15 Canadian, you can have a calculator and a clock. And it's got the Nintendo logo on it. So, I mean, come on.
What's worth more? What's worth your more? What's the word I'm looking for? How are you going to spend your $15 on the little plastic containers for your little games, or this calculator clock?
You're going to need this calculator to figure out your finances to be able to afford a Nintendo Switch 2 and at least one game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So obviously the pricing is not great for the Nintendo Switch 2, and from what we've seen of the games, this is really making me swallow a lot of bile. And normally Matt and I were just talking about this on the first episode of this season. Like, are we bougie because we're just sitting around not complaining about the price of Returns HD?
Nah.
I don't know. The price of the Nintendo Switch 2 is a little produces a little flop sweat for me, because I'm really gonna have to scrounge and scrimp and look under couch cushions for maybe sell some blood, sell some plasma. I don't know.
Steal.
Maybe just like invite people to bite me for money.
Well then, come up to Canada.
Come up to Canada? Why, there are a lot of biters up there?
Well, no, that's where you said you could get free healthcare and you could people bite you.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll pay more if I can't afford to mend my wounds.
Tell them to pay in US dollars, but for, I don't know how these exchange rate thingies work, but you'll get more if you, something like that. Something to do with the exchange rates. It's more USD. It's nice.
It's funny because just last night, Malik, I was telling people I'm okay if we don't see Donkey Kong at launch because I don't want to have to get a new system at launch.
Yeah, usually I wait at least a year before that happens, but now this is a feeling I've never felt before where I'm like, I need this like at least a month after the Switch 2 comes out. But when the Switch 2 comes out, I need it. I need it
for my job, Malik. That's the scary part.
I mean, I could sort of do it for my job too, but I mean, you got more going for you. But yeah,
I mean, this is it.
This is play this
like it's this or a new Banjo-Kazooie game are like the biggest ticket items DK Vine could ever possibly cover.
Well, we can write it off as March Rose 2011 says. It can be a tax write-off, which is yeah, we can do that.
I'm not a billionaire. I can't get away with that. They would prosecute me if I tried to write this off.
All the time. I just say it's for work.
All right.
Videos.
So when the trailer started, Malik, and don't worry, everybody, we're done with the power supplies portion of the episode. You're all good sports. Thanks for committing to the bit, everyone. When this trailer started, did you think I am looking at the new Donkey Kong game?
Nope. In fact, so I was watching it with my brother, and he was like, "Is this Yuka?" And I was like, "No, it's not ukulele."
Yeah, like, the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct ends with Yuka Replayley. I mean,
or Yuka Tuka.
Tuka-lele. Yeah, like I would almost be okay with that. But I also know the backlash that would get from a lot of sections, corners of the broader Nintendo fandom. Like for the DKU Nintendo fandom, we'd be like, hell yeah!
Yeah. Screw those guys.
So I at first, here's where my brain was going. At first I thought it was going to be something completely out of left field, like Mother 4.
Okay, that's pretty out there.
Because I was trying to like, what am I looking at? What am I actually seeing? What are these landscapes visually reminiscent of?
Yeah.
And I don't know. For some reason I thought maybe Mother 4. But there was one shot in the like opening scenic views of what looked to be a mine cart, or at least some sort of mine cart apparatus on a mine track. And I saw that, and I'm thinking, could this be Donkey Kong? But no, like, come on. It doesn't really look like Donkey Kong. Like, with Donkey Kong, you would expect the opening to be a familiar jungle. Maybe you would hear the, you know, if you listen, you can hear it coming.
You can hear it coming.
And so I kept watching. And, you know, we eventually saw the entrance or near entrance to a mine. And in this mine were pickaxe-wielding monkeys.
Yeah, I even then I was still like, no, don't get too excited.
Even then, so I've heard a few people say this. Even then, you thought this probably isn't Donkey Kong.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the monkeys and I knew. I was not recording myself this time around, but I let out a gasp and a slight maniacal cackle at that point.
Oh, that's great.
I was like, this is happening, and that's when I left my body. I basically went into like the surrealist, in the Star Wars when they go into hyperspace and all the stars start bending, all the stars start bending around them into like blue streaks.
I can imagine.
You have to know that you have to have seen that visual at some point in your life, Malik.
Maybe, but it's not nothing's coming to me.
In the Millennium Falcon cockpit. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm not going to shame you for this. We all have our interests. We all have our knowledge bases, but
I've seen the first 3, but yeah, I need to see them again, I guess.
By the first 3, you mean the original trilogy or the prequels?
Yes. The original trilogy, not Phantom Menace and all that.
Okay. Then you've seen this visual before in your life, but that's the way I felt whenever I see a new DKU trailer, specifically related to Donkey Kong or Rare. I go into sort of this hyperspace version of reality where everything sort of becomes loose and elastic and nothing really settles in my brain for the longest time. And I'm still in that mode right now, Malik. I don't know how I was able to muster myself into doing this episode when I'm still just ping-ponging between all the different emotions of this. But I was cackling when I saw the monkeys. And by the way, those monkey miners, we only got a brief visual of them from what I can ascertain. I love the way they look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I need to see him again, but I do like him.
And there's a sign up there too that said "monkeys only," like like only monkeys are permitted in this section of the mine or whatever. Which maybe we'll have playable Diddy mode at some point. I don't know. Just
we'll see.
Possibility, but then we cut to this this cave wall or this mine wall, and we hear pounding as the wall starts to crack before us, and we hear very familiar grunts. And
that's what tipped me off. Was like, that's Takashi Nagasako.
And can I just say, hearing that voice in this Donkey Kong model and not have it be Seth Rogen really helps sell that this is our Donkey Kong.
Yeah, for all these people who think Seth Rogen was actually going to voice Donkey Kong in a game, I'm like, are you on crack?
Yeah, the thing is, Seth Rogen's not going to do anything on the cheap. And
no.
Now, this is our Donkey Kong, and he bursts through the wall, and there he is. Style. He's got his miner hat on, visually reminiscent of the renders from Donkey Kong Country, where he's in the Lost Mines or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's what I thought.
Yeah, the original idea for Torchlight Trouble was that Donkey Kong in cave levels would have a miner's hat with a flashlight on it, but then that evolved into Squawks holding the flashlight.
Ultimately a better decision, but yeah, now we got the best of both worlds.
And a lot of people have been talking about the fact that he's wearing overalls throughout most of the game, or most of the footage, most of the screenshots we've seen. And I've heard people say they put him in Mario's clothes. They put him in Mario's pants. And
those aren't the same shade.
For one, there's no way Mario's overalls would be able to contain that ass. There's no way. These are his own overalls. This is his mining gear. This is protective mining gear he's wearing. This is how they visually communicate that he is in this strange new environment, this civilization that I believe, judging from the trailer and everything we've seen so far, Ingot Island is the name.
They call it on the official website. It's called the Underground Kingdom, like
The
the entire world he's in. But,
Okay, there is an
yeah.
Ingot Island sign, so that might be like and the overworld. They get pushed. I think they get pushed into the Underground Kingdom. Ingot Island, we can see from the trailer, the baddies or antagonist kind of push it down into this subterranean world, this perhaps like sort of, well, lost world, so to speak, that the game seems to take place in. But it seems like the core setting or what you have to restore is Ingot Island, at least from what I can see thus far. Again, it's hard to really retain any of this information thus far.
Yeah, but like, I'm liking how it looks. Just like, this is like, oh man. I mean, I'm still processing it, but, and DK's miner outfit, I think it's a good look on him.
Yeah, in the live stream, we got people pointing out Jumanji Castle, great name, says, doesn't Chunky or Lanky have overalls? And Andre says Lanky, yes. So yes, like overalls are not just completely in the realm of the Mario or Wario brothers. So we got John Tessier saying he's dressed the same as Ben Stiller in Zoolander when he becomes a miner. Exactly my thoughts.
I saw that movie in the last couple of years. That was wild. But yes, I'm thinking of that too.
And March Rose says, but he isn't wearing them the whole time. No, so I think at the end of the trailer, when he's introduced to his little rock buddy. Do we have a name for the rock buddy yet, Malik? I haven't been able to keep up.
I don't think so, but for now, let's call the rock buddy Rock Lord or something.
I called him in my news article, Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Or just Rock the for short.
I don't know. I had to come up with a placeholder name, so yeah, it's Oh, Chris is in the chat, says, I saw a great suggestion, Chip. Yeah,
I guess that could work, but there was this...
What?
There was a Sonic Unleashed game where Sonic had a sidekick. His name was Chip. That's the thing I was thinking of. But I guess this could work.
The chip
Josh
off the old block.
Geek Critique will tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah, chip off the old block, yeah.
Yeah, Donkey Kong has a chip on his shoulder. Eh?
That's okay. A banana chip on his shoulder?
No, it's a rock creature.
Yeah.
No, you can see at the end of the trailer, he's not wearing overalls, and that's when he meets Rock the Dwayne Johnson or Chip or whatever. Okay. My mind is just racing. I'm sorry. Do you know what? You know what Chip reminds me of, Malik?
What does Chip remind you of?
He's this weird purple, like, just blob, this like hunk, this mass of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I had a dream once.
Yeah.
1996. Early 1996. I'm talking before the winter 1996 Nintendo Power Supplies catalog. Before,
of course,
Donkey Kong Country 3 was even announced. But you sort of knew Rare had to be making it because they had to finish the trilogy. And I would be having reoccurring dreams about what Donkey Kong Country 3 would look like. And just to show you the anxieties of fandom and how some things never really changed despite the generation, despite the era. One of the concerns of Donkey Kong Country 3 was, believe it or not, what if Donkey Kong isn't playable again?
Uh-huh.
So, like, we love Donkey Kong Country 2. Love Donkey Kong Country 2. But I guess deep in my psyche, I was worried because I already, like, some of my friends were talking and they're like, you know, I really don't like that Donkey Kong isn't playable in DKC 2. I mean, it's good. It's fun. I like Dixie. I like Diddy, but they better put Donkey Kong in the next Donkey Kong game. And I guess I was internalizing that fear of the fandom, and I wasn't online back then, so I couldn't really get a read of what the fans were talking about on the message boards in the AOL chat rooms. But, you know, I'm sure a lot of people were feeling it. So in my dream, I dreamt about Donkey Kong Country 3. And I dreamt in Donkey Kong Country 3, and longtime listeners of the Kongversation will know I'm not just spinning this tale for today.
Mm-hmm.
I dreamt that Diddy Kong was in some subterranean world. I remember a lot of caves, a lot of like crystalline caverns. Diddy Kong was the star once again of Donkey Kong Country 3. And the new sidekick, it wasn't Dixie, it wasn't Donkey, there was no kitty. It was this purple goo creature called Sir Blobsworth. And Sir Blobsworth had wonky eyes, like eyes that were a little bit off kilter, but on one of the eyes he did have a monocle, and he wore a top hat as well, because he was posh. He was part of the aristocracy, Sir Blobsworth, of this, like, I guess, blob civilization that lived deep underground. And Diddy found himself in this underworld, and he befriended Sir Blobsworth. And he's like, I don't have any of my Kong companions with me, but will you be my sidekick, Sir Blobsworth? And Sir Blobsworth, I guess, would have been like, oh yes, let's go, Diddy, let's go on this grand adventure called Donkey Kong Country 3. Blah,
Yes,
blah,
let us
blah,
traverse
blah.
through the mines. That's the real reason why you didn't record a reaction, because at one point you just said out loud, Sir Blobsworth?
I swear, I must have some psychic abilities, but psychic abilities that are always slightly wrong by just enough that it's interesting.
Yeah, sort of like a monkey's paw situation, which I've always hated that term because monkeys don't have paws.
And also, don't be cutting off their hands anyway.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
You know, I like a lot of monkeys, and I like a lot of monkey hands, and I usually like them attached. Usually.
Yeah, usually.
So, yeah, Chip is now. I think people are viewing this, and I know there's a lot of things to process. There's a lot of things to discuss, but let's talk about Chip or Rock the Dwayne Johnson or Sir Rocksworth. Let's talk about him.
Okay.
Or them or she or whatever pronouns little lumps of rock use in the underground kingdom where Ingot Island was pushed down into.
Right.
A lot of people are viewing this as a replacement for Diddy because of the way Retro Studios utilized Diddy and then later Dixie and Cranky in their two Donkey Kong Country games. Now, knowing Nintendo EPD, knowing the way they've handled 3D Mario, every 3D Mario game nearly since Super Mario 64, I view Sir Rocksworth here as more of a Cappy or even a Flood than I do a direct replacement character for Diddy Kong.
Yeah, totally. This is like a Luma, Cappy, Flood. I think that's it. But yeah, this is totally right up there with that that tradition.
And in that sense, I can't hate it too much. Now, I will admit, as the trailer went on and the initial euphoria and shock of, oh my god, Donkey Kong EPD is here. It's here, it's real, it's really real. The long 7-year wait is over. After all of that, there were the niggling little concerns. The lizard part of my brain that is satiated every night with Tetris 99, but yearns for more when it comes to my video games, and especially my favorite video game series of all time, especially the first new standalone game in 11 years, the first new game of a new era in Donkey Kong's new home studio. I really started noticing the lack of anything recognizable except for Donkey Kong. And I started to have the jungle beat scaries.
Yeah.
Now,
I can understand that.
Can I just say, though, Malik, now, I've seen this debate rage in my social media mentions, in our Discord channel. I know it's going to be a debate that's going to keep raging until we see a little bit more of this game at the very least, and even then, well after. And I just want to say that, you know, I am coming into this with an open mind, and I'm going to try to remain open-minded about this, and especially viewing it in comparison to 3D Mario, which is the best comparison I think we have of what's happening here. I would really have liked to have seen a little bit more familiar. It was somebody in the inner circle, it might have been Cameron, said, I would feel a lot better if I had just seen Diddy Kong.
Yeah,
and
Diddy makes everything better.
Diddy makes everything better, and I agree with that. Now, here's where I'm at. It is completely okay to not be feeling this. It is even okay to be feeling angry or hurt or confused or bewildered and not be 100%, yeah, Donkey Kong Bananza, I'm all in. Conversely, it is okay to be absolutely pumped about this game like you've never been pumped about anything before in your life. And it's okay to be somewhere in the middle. There is no wrong way to be feeling about this game right now. And I just want to say that feel your feelings, please. Don't repress them. Don't try to force anything. But also make allowances for other people to be feeling different things. Don't come into this trying to say, like, you're a bad Donkey Kong fan for liking everything in the Donkey Kong Bonanza trailer, or you're a bad Donkey Kong fan for not giving this a chance. It's a new 3D Donkey Kong game. Oh my God, what's wrong with you? We've all got to find some equilibrium here as a community in the next few months, because the last thing I would want to see is everybody tear each other down. With everything happening in the world right now, my refuge, my island paradise is the Donkey Kong universe fan community. And just allow people to feel how they're feeling, but also be respectful at the same time. That's all I really want to say about that, because am I excited about Donkey Kong Bonanza? Yeah, of course I am. Am I a little bit disappointed that it wasn't ticking off this laundry list of things I was hoping to see after such a long wait? Yeah, a little bit. I don't know how I feel about this, honestly. I really don't. This is not necessarily what I would have wanted to have seen. I would have wanted to see something a little bit more traditional coming into this new era of Donkey Kong. I would have liked to have seen a few more recognizable elements. That being said, it's not like this is completely bereft of familiarity. This isn't actually just Jungle Beat all over again. And I do have a feeling it might be more of my latent psychic abilities, or it might just be, as really obnoxious people say, copium. But I have a feeling this is just the tip of the iceberg, or the tip of the ingot island. This is a new 3D adventure, which means there is a lot of room. A lot of room for references, a lot of rooms for characters to appear, cameos. This isn't necessarily going to be the Retro Studios stripped down to the bare essentials philosophy that we're seeing with Donkey Kong Bonanza. This isn't Jungle Beat all over again, because, baby, we've already seen more references in this than we've seen in Jungle Beat. Do I wish we would have seen Diddy? Do I wish we would have seen confirmable Kremlins? Oh yeah, of course. I'm with you there. But it's not all doom and gloom. It's not, because we do have references, Malik. We have a couple of really, really cool visuals. And one of them was so blink and you'll miss it that I feel like most people haven't seen it unless they've seen it on social media or on Discord servers or on Reddit, or they read DKVine.com like a good person, because we break all the news stories at DKVine.
Darn right.
Malik, and honestly, the mood completely shifted in our inner circle the second this popped up, because there was a lot of just like, oh, I mean, I don't love it. Oh, really? Really? It's Jungle Beat all over again. And then we saw it. We saw the naughty. We saw the naughty.
Yeah! We won! Who would have thought?
Do you know about the naughty, Malik? Do you know about the naughty?
Yes, I know the naughty. Yes, I know about the naughty. I saw it. I was like, I felt the same way almost. Like, I was a little more positive than I assumed the inner circle was. But then when I saw that naughty, I was like, we're cool. We're cool.
There's a section. Now, by the way, this section, this might be the first world of the game or a later world, but it seems to be some sort of ostrich kingdom. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I've heard a lot of people speculate is espresso here. Are one of these ostriches espresso? They're wearing clothes. That's weird. Wearing clothes that aren't sneakers. That's weird. But
yeah. The fact that there's just an ostrich was enough for me to go, it's an ostrich.
See, we've been down this road so many times where we like glom onto something that we think is familiar imagery, and it turns out to not be a reference at all. Like so many times in Returns or Tropical Freeze or Jungle Beat. Like, it feels like we are just locked in the cycles of fandom. So I was seeing these ostriches and I was just like, all right, but they're probably not espresso, are they? Or they're probably not the DKC2 GBA racing ostriches. Like, they're probably not going to put Minogue in this or Mbazi. Papa Laz is probably not going to be in Donkey Kong Bananza. I hate everything.
I feel ya.
Yeah, there's this bit where Donkey Kong, I don't know, he's rolling or smashing something, because a large part of the mechanics of this game seems to be digging and smashing and breaking stuff. I mean, it's got the mining gimmick, right? The mining aesthetic. And you smash a lot of rocks in this game. And at one point, Donkey Kong smashes a rock, and it kind of spins around above him. It glows a little bit. And carved into the rock is a naughty beaver. And this isn't just the case of this just being a beaver that we're saying might be a naughty. Because look, I just got done saying about the ostriches. I don't know if any of them is espresso. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this was unmistakably a naughty. This is the naughty design from Donkey Kong Country. We don't know what this is. We don't know why this is, why this exists, what kind of collectible or power-up this is. There seems to be this fossil element to this game. Like we've seen in screenshots in the HUD, there are different types of fossils you collect or something, or smash, or I don't know. But this might be a fossilized naughty.
Is everyone except Donkey Kong dead?
Yeah, this is actually post-apocalypse. This is after just the climate collapses and K. Rool uses the Blast-O-Matic on everything, and Gruntilda comes back with the B.O.B. and Wizpig invades Timbers Island and lays waste. This is
skunk.
It's not going to be that bleak. It's only rated E10, everyone. Come on. But we've got a naughty reference. in Donkey Kong Bonanza, which, aside from Donkey, Diddy, Cranky, Ramby, and Squawks, is a deeper Donkey Kong Country cut than anything in Returns.
For real, honestly.
And I don't want to relitigate that argument, but at the very least, look at this naughty and be like, okay. There's probably more than what we've seen in this small little sliver of an expansive 3D adventure. I'm optimistic. I am optimistic that this game will have way more in it than what we've seen in this trailer, what we've seen in these early screenshots. And I do wish Diddy would have been visually spotted. But then I compare it to 3D Mario games, and I'm like, how many times is Luigi in a 3D Mario game? And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. I think Donkey Kong always works best when he's teamed with his buddies. But it
There's a precedent for it.
Yeah, I kind of get this is Nintendo EPD. This is their MO. As much as I would have liked to have had the first new 3D Donkey Kong game in over 25 years to, have Lanky Kong in it, to have a whole host of very recognizable elements, to maybe even be set on Donkey Kong Island, I'm also not going to be completely dismissive of everything, because this is very much like every Mario game, every 3D Mario game post Super Mario 64 has sort of done this. The only difference, I would say, is that Bowser is the antagonist of those. And we haven't seen any whiff of K. Rool or Tiki Tong or Lord Frederick or Ghastly King anywhere.
Yeah. And I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll get a reference to K. Rool somewhere. I mean, we did in Odyssey of all places, so it's on
I'm glad you brought up Odyssey, because now that we know this is confirmed, now that this isn't just DK Vine vomiting out nonsense around the clock, day in, day out, for the last 7 years, now that we know that our reporting was accurate about this, Super Mario Odyssey roughly coincided with when they knew they were taking Donkey Kong back in internally. And right. I feel like a lot of those references in New Donk City, in the Metro Kingdom, were probably added later in the day. And it was the team celebrating the fact that they were going to be able to work on Donkey Kong. Or at least members of the team they were going to be able to work on Donkey Kong. And, we had our sources tell us that there are a lot of Donkey Kong Country fans at Nintendo EPD. They grew up with what they knew as Super Donkey Kong. And nowhere in that trailer is that more abundantly apparent than in what seems to be a special 2D side-scrolling section, or I don't know really the conceit behind these yet, because we don't really know the conceit behind a lot of this yet. This is going to be a story that continually breaks like the pebbles in this underground kingdom over the next several days and weeks. But there seems to be sections of this 3D Donkey Kong game that take us into a 2D side-scrolling section that is very deliberately reminiscent of not just Donkey Kong Country, but Rare's Donkey Kong Country.
Mm-hmm. You want to do the honors to tell them what it is?
Malik, I gotta crack open an energy drink because I'm going all night tonight. Why don't you explain to the good folk what we saw in the trailer?
All right. So listen up, y'all. There was some 2D sections where they look like they're straight out of Donkey Kong Country, right down to how the trees look. They got the trees down. They look like plastic in the best possible way. They look so good. I saw a couple barrel cannons in there, and it was only for like 5 seconds, but I was like, look at that. That's so good. Love it.
not only do these look like classic Donkey Kong Country stages, they got the look, the shape of the palm trees down exactly. And look, I don't want to shit talk retro. I love Retro's 2 games. I love what they've contributed and added to the grand tapestry that is the Donkey Kong universe. And I've even been okay with what seemed to be this feeling, this acceptance that the look of Donkey Kong is just always going to be Retro's Donkey Kong because of the theme park, because of what we saw in the Super Mario Brothers movie, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I never thought we would get these damn plasticky, shiny-ass palm trees back. From 1994 to roughly 2003, this was part of the visual language of the Donkey Kong series. Like, even Donkey Kong 64 used these in the backgrounds of the menus.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, like in the instruction manual, backgrounds in the game.
The Donkey Kong land border, like, it was everywhere. And you loved them. They were comforting. There was something about these palm trees that just really spoke to me. I said on the episode I did with Dustin about Donkey Kong's new design that my favorite interpretation of Donkey Kong will always be the original 1994 ACM model with the weird segmented fingers and the fur that just looks like, as our friend Josh Wallen calls it, dithered plastic.
And that smile, that 1,000-yard stare and smile right into your soul. I love that.
I recognize the deficiencies of that model. I recognize it's not very good from the modern eye. But damn it, Malik, I love that model. That is the model of when I became a Donkey Kong fan. And so that will always be what I think of first and foremost when I think Donkey Kong. Well, those palm trees are also what I think of when I think of a Donkey Kong jungle. I did not expect to see, out of all the things we could have seen in the trailer for Donkey Kong Bananza, the return of the rare palm trees. Definitely not on my bingo card.
Nope, I don't even have a bingo card, but it wouldn't have been on there.
Not only that, you mentioned the barrel cannons, and we saw the barrel cannons earlier on, or elsewhere in the trailer. I don't know if the barrel cannons actually get you into these areas, these 2D areas, or if like they will be used throughout the game, but they are a special barrel cannon that seems to be unique to Ingot Island or the Underground Kingdom. And this is like almost tailor-made for DK Vine sensibilities. I can't believe I'm about to say this. They are barrel cannons with neon signs on them.
Oh yeah, that is tailor-made for you.
The arrow of the barrel cannon is actually a neon sign.
For those, it looks really good.
Yeah. For those who don't know, DK Vine from 2004 to 2010, our site aesthetic was neon. And even now, today, on our forum, we still have the neon avatars that you can choose from across the DKU. Like, they've made, site staff and other contributors over the years have made neon versions of like so many DKU characters. And so to see these special barrel cannons that are neon barrel cannons, I'm just like, well, damn. Like, how many of these people were on the DK Vine forum back in the day making this game?
It's got to be at least one. At least one. I'd bet good money on that.
But also, Donkey Kong, his new model, seen it in this context, seen it in this Congo jungle-esque aesthetic, he looks like Donkey Kong. Like, yes, he's visually different. He's a little bit more cartoony in the face. He's a little bit thicker. He's got the dad bod, as I called it. But he still feels like our guy.
Yeah. Ultimately, that's what matters to me. If it feels like Donkey Kong, that's okay. It's like, that's just DK.
I've also seen a lot of complaints about how the gameplay mechanic is around smashing and breaking things. And again, it's reminiscent of Jungle Beat, where Donkey Kong was just bombastic and violent in that game. But the difference here is that all of the animations we've seen of him, and he has a lot of facial animations. I mean, the facial animations alone are probably the most diverse we've ever seen in the DKU, including like Conquer. And like everything we've seen from all of his emoting in this, he really just runs the gamut of the, I was going to say human experience, but we'll say of the simian experience. Whereas in Jungle Beat, more often than not, he just came across as an unhinged lunatic.
And I mean, I do love that, but this is good too.
There was always this kind of tonal dissonance with Jungle Beat, especially so soon after the Rare buyout, where Donkey Kong just felt too violent in that game. I mean, that was the first game that had an E10 rating because Donkey Kong was just too violent to get an E rating.
That cartoon violence was just too much.
So, like, I think Donkey Kong is not just, like, unhinged, violent sociopath in this game. I think he's just breaking things because he has to break them, but he's really, really expressive, and I do like everything we've seen from him so far.
Oh, yeah. I love it all. Like, at the end of the trailer, he's about to get smushed under a boulder, but his eyes bug out. They remind me of DKC when Cranky bombed him in the intro.
Yeah, like
the same way.
Seeing all of the like animations and like it does bring to mind a lot of the more wacky or over the top emoting of the Rare era, which doesn't really get brought up or discussed much. Like when Donkey Kong was tied up in the Flying Croc and Captain K. Rool would get up and Donkey Kong's eyes would just bug out completely. Battletoad
y'all
style.
Talk about, y'all want to say DK wasn't expressive back in the day. Where were you?
but I'm saying, like, that's always been part of the series DNA. We just, as fans, have always focused on the more aesthetical realism of the environments versus, like, how cartoony the characters could be in certain situations and scenarios.
Yeah. They're big talking cartoon monkeys. Hello.
So, yeah, in the live stream, we want get some people talking about what we believe are the new enemies of the game, or at least the surface level enemies, the ones that are the instigators of the plot, of the one who are pushing Ingot Island or taking it over. And there are 3 Kongs, effectively, although it's not just a Jungle Beat situation. You know, what we call the Kiss Kongs, the 4 antagonistic Kongs of that game: Karate Kong, Ninja Kong, Sumo Kong, and oh shit, what was the 4th one? Help me out, Malik.
Dread,
yeah. And then Ghastly King over them. But you know, they were all gorillas. They were just all gorilla Kongs. I mean, they started off as just kind of evil Wario versions of Donkey Kong in the early days of development before they were given their own little, you know, personalities and aesthetics and gimmicks. And these Kongs, and I'm going to call them Kongs because DK Vine's rules are if it's within this archipelago and they are a primate, or they're at least a non-human simian, then they will be a Kong. That's the way it works. Super Mario Brothers movie backed us up on that. These 3 Kongs are, well, one of them, the minor, the most blue collar of the bunch. I was going to say he looks like a gorilla, but he actually might be some sort of baboon, judging from the coloration under his eyes. I don't really
Yeah,
know
like a
exactly
mandrill?
what type of ape he's supposed to be, or monkey he's supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Um,
mandrill. Maybe.
but yeah, but he doesn't have the nose, but it's more along those
That's
lines.
true.
But he's got the like red hair, and almost like a red beard. Also, like one of the first male Kongs to be depicted with hair, like
Yeah.
on the top of his head.
Yeah, I was about to say, so wait a minute, Cranky's got a beard, right? Okay, but no, actual like head
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah, like it's a rarity to have a male Kong. Like Swanky has the toupee in the bonus Bonanza, but he didn't
That's
stick with
true.
that. And then
Nope.
we've got yeah, so he's like a big burly miner of the bunch, and then you've got the like glasses wearing. Is she a spider monkey? I'm not really sure, but she's the femme fatale of the group.
Yeah.
I saw when she appeared in the trailer, some people were like, why couldn't she be Candy Kong? I'm like, well, she's trying to kill Donkey Kong. That's why.
Yeah.
But she reminds me of like, I don't know, like a G.I. Joe villain, like a kind of a, I don't want to say sexy, because I'm not attracted to monkeys, everyone. All the jokes
Everyone
I
seems
make
to be calling
aside.
her that. Her current fan name is Sexy Kong, from what I've seen. From
Oh God, no, let's not get
Krista.
that going.
Krista said it from Kitten Krista from Nintendo. She said it.
Okay, but they also said that there's going to be a Super Mario Donkey Kong team up game. So let's not take their word for it.
Okay.
I'm still salty. I'm still salty that nobody believed us, Malik. I said I didn't want my flowers, but maybe just a little dandelion would be nice.
I'll give you a flower.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I'll have it airmailed.
I'll get it in 6 months at this point. But she doesn't have a big bosom like Candy Kong, but she does have glasses. She's got like long white hair. I'm interested. She might be the brains of the operation. Maybe she's the like geologist of the group, the one who like test the stability of the mine or something. I don't know. And
She's
then
got a long furry tail too.
long furry tail, yes. So she is some sort of monkey. She looks like a spider monkey. I know a lot of people always say Diddy's a spider monkey. Diddy looks nothing like a spider monkey, people. And then what seems to be the main one of the bunch is this little mangy, runty
gremlin.
He almost looks like a gremlin, yeah. I think he's supposed to be some sort of little tiny, maybe he's like a real just fugly tamarin or something. He's a tiny little squirrel monkey of some sort. He's got big gold sharpened teeth. He looks hideous. He looks like a Skylander or something. I don't know.
I was thinking, like, I know there's, like, I won't even bring up, like, what was it? If this character had a voice actor, it would be, like, I won't even bring up the actor's name, but the actor is in, like, Skylanders, now that you bring up Skylanders. I'm like, yeah, he'd totally have that guy's voice.
Yeah. Now, a name that keeps popping up in screenshots in the trailer, and actually all across the body of Chippy, or Chip, or Sir Rocksworth, or the Rock, or Rock the Dwayne Johnson. I can't keep track.
Geodude. I saw someone say that in the chat.
Void Co. is a company that's either the main company doing the mining operations, or it's the company that these three antagonistic Kongs are heading up. And Voidco seems to be a reoccurring element within this game. So we don't really know much about Voidco as of the time of this recording, but it is across the body of this little rock pal of Donkey Kong.
Yeah, well, I like the name Voidco. Just void is a fun word to say.
there's been a void in my heart with no new standalone Donkey Kong games for 11 years, and thankfully it's finally being filled on July 17th.
Such a weird date, but I'm not complaining.
I mean, what is a good release date for the Switch 2? Well, the Switch 2s are only really going to be launching with Mario Kart World, so they've got to get something on the shelf soon. And you know what?
Yeah.
You know what other game came out in the middle of the year? Summer in the Northern Hemisphere, winter in the Southern Hemisphere?
I don't know.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh, right.
And that's the thing, too.
Happen.
That's the thing, too, about the way this looks and feels, and maybe it's just the curse of 3D Donkey Kong, but this does feel like more of a Banjo-Kazooie game than a Donkey Kong game in a lot of places.
Yeah, a lot of people were also saying when they saw the trailer, they were like, was that Banjo? I mean, again, the Yuka one was like, is that Yuka? So I get it.
Yeah, like, just from the way like a lot of the rock creatures and ice creatures have googly eyes and just walking around and just, I don't know, the tone and the more like cartoony aesthetic, it does feel like a rare game that's not a Donkey Kong game, except for those 2D portions that look exactly like Rare's 2D Donkey Kong Country games. Yeah, so like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I think that, and I know a lot of people too have seen, I see Kremlin campaigners in the chat. I know a lot of people are like trying to parse background details and trying to suss out if there's anything that's a reference to Kremlins. I've seen a lot of speculation about, is that supposed to be a crocodile head statue? Is that a frozen mechanical crocodile Isle? And I would just hold my horses there. Like, I understand wanting to do that. I was doing that when the Returns trailer premiered in 2010, and I thought a Frogoon was a small Kremlin at first. But I would also like to point out that we've seen a lot of fossil imagery, and there seems to be a lot, like something to do with dinosaurs, dinosaur fossils. We've seen like a Triceratops skull at some point, R.I.P. Tricky, I guess. And so I'm worried that what some people are misconstruing as Kremlins are actually dinosaurs. And I don't know yet. I don't know yet, but I just like don't. Obviously, we want to speculate and we want to fully ride this hype cycle hard for the next 3 months or so. But like I've already seen like, oh, the Donkey Kong briefly fights what looks to be, or he like unlocks something that looks to be a skeletal Kremlin, and I'm like, I think that's a dinosaur fossil you're seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't reach.
Porygon Q says hype responsibly. I think that's wise. Like, obviously, we want lots of returning characters. Look, I don't just want rare elements in this. I would love to see retro elements in there. I would love to see a couple things from Jungle Beat show up, if I'm honest. Like, I want this to be a full-on reclamation of the entire Donkey Kong history. And I do think that is where the Donkey Kong franchise is headed in this new era. Like, so many people are wringing their hands, and I get it, given the collective trauma we have as a fandom over, and trauma's like a way too loaded word for this kind of stuff. This is all nonsense at the end of the day, but you know, it's important to us. It brings us joy. And I like, I've lived through this with Jungle Beat, with Returns and Tropical Freeze, of wanting returning things, wanting way more returning things than we get, wanting our characters to be celebrated. What's so wrong with us? And I do admit that is the biggest thing holding me back from really, really dancing nude in the streets
Really?
About Donkey Kong Bananza.
That's the only thing stopping you?
That's the only thing I would have streaked down the road screaming and laughing and maybe even having a little pee dribble out of me. Just a little bit. If we would have seen Diddy or Swanky or really anything. Now, the naughty reference helps, and the plastic palm trees help. And that tells me that there's way more than what we've seen so far. And again, this is a 3D adventure, which means there's way more room to slide stuff in. Way more opportunities for references and homages and cameos even than you'd get in the structure of a 2D Donkey Kong game. A 2D Donkey Kong game, it's like, okay, who's going to be operating the shop on the map screen? What animal buddies are going to be appearing? What playable Kongs are there? Who is the antagonist? The end.
Yeah.
3D Donkey Kong, so many mindless idiots who might need your help, Malik.
Oh, totally.
Traveler of the Star says, I disagree. If we saw Diddy, people would want more. If we saw Diddy and Dixie, they'd want more. If we saw King K. Rool, people would want more. I agree to a point. Obviously, there's different factions of Donkey Kong fandom, and you get the people who really care most about the Kremlin stuff. And so anything less than a full-on trailer where King K. Rool is like laughing and running down the street naked with a little bit of pee dribbling out of him, anything less than that would disappoint those people. And I can't say much to that because I get it. I understand. But, you know, I think some of the fandom would have been placated if, yeah, there's Diddy, or there's a character we haven't seen in the last 15 years making an appearance, or and hey, I mean, naughty, there's a naughty reference, there's a naughty fossil. Like, I know that's small, that's not really what people are getting at when they say they want to see Guard, or they say they want to see Trough and Scoff or anything, but that a naughty has not been in a mainline Donkey Kong game since 1999, discounting the remakes for the Game Boy Color and then the Game Boy Advance. There was a naughty reference in Donkey Konga 2. We all know. There's a little, like, naughty statue in that. But outside of that, naughties have not been invoked for over 25 years. So I think, and you know, you can dismiss this as copium all you want. I don't fucking care. I do think this is going to be more of a celebration of the history of Donkey Kong than the trailer, than the reveal suggests. This is a very traditional Nintendo EPD 3D adventure trailer. Here's your favorite character in a new setting with all the weird new wild shit they're going to be encountering.
For sure. Like, just like what Odyssey was, it had all that weird new stuff, but it was still a celebration of everything Mario had been up to that point. And I think Donkey Kong Bonanza is gonna be the same, maybe not to the same degree as Mario Odyssey, but I'm confident that we'll still see quite a few returning elements, and I think a lot of people will be happy. Don't quote me on this, but
yeah. Don't quote Malik on that. Whatever you do,
I'm not the psychic.
No. Take Malik's words off the record, everyone. Never quote him on that.
Never, ever.
Okay, so Zip Binders in the chat says, as someone who was sick of Zelda always doing Ganon and Star Fox always doing Andros, I appreciated that DK kept doing different stuff. I mean, to an extent, I agree. Monkey's Paw situation. I always wanted Donkey Kong to have a big rogues gallery like Batman, because Batman is just like another big childhood passion of mine. And I'm like, well, Batman can fight the killer clown that Malik wanders into the tent of. Batman can fight this weird freezing guy who goes around freezing things. Batman can fight this immortal man who dips himself in this toxic sludge and then comes out all crazed. Why can't
Isn't
Donkey
that
Kong?
the killer clown?
And I mean, like, part of my DNA as an early Nintendo fan before Donkey Kong Country with the Super Mario series, my favorite Mario baddie was Wart. It wasn't King Koopa / Bowser. It was Wart. So I always wanted this for Donkey Kong, but I never thought we would be kind of stuck in the mud where Donkey Kong would lose his home in 2002 and then drift on various studios' couches for the next 23 years. Obviously, it hasn't been that long because this game has been in development for years at this point. But the constant reinvention definitely wears thin. And I completely get it. A lot of people are tired. A lot of people just want their favorite characters back because the old timers, we're not getting any younger. And we would like to have a celebration of everything we love before we kick it, before we check out like Wrinkly Kong, you know?
Yeah, we're like 87 years old at this point. We're like, oh, come on.
But at the same time, I've been through this before. And I eventually came around on Jungle Beat. I eventually grew to like Professor Chops well enough. He and I are cool now. You know, he's never going to be my emergency contact, but you know, I might invite him to a birthday party every few years.
I might invite him to a barbecue.
And I think that's just what I want for Donkey Kong. I want there to be a healthy blend of every era and new. And so far, this trailer leaned very heavily on the new. And that's fine. That's fine. I just really want this fandom to have a couple wins under its belt for this. We've waited so long to see Donkey Kong EPD that it would be nice to have that trust and that faith validated in the same way that having K. Rool in the Smash ballot coming out of that, victorious. The same way that was, or Banjo and Kazooie being in Smash. Or even seeing like Swanky and Chunky in the Super Mario Brothers movie. I mean, that's still surreal to me. And that suggests to me, still, something's up with that. I don't think this is going to be just completely void of the entire company of Donkey Kong characters. I don't. It doesn't have to be, as Triple Starbeam says in a chat, it doesn't have every Brothers Bear, including Bachelor. I'm not buying. It doesn't have to have every Brothers Bear. It doesn't even have to have one single Brothers Bear, even though that is the dream. That is the eternal hope that one Brothers Bear will return. But no, like, I want Professor Chops back. I want Professor Chops in this, wiggling his little pig ass somewhere in this game. I'm with you, Traveler of the Stars. Chops Sensei. Let's get him in there. I want Hoofer to make an appearance. I want Dread Kong, because I forgot his name earlier. I need to make it up to him. I want him in there. I want Swanky. I want Ingard. I want Squitter. I want Perry. Stanley the Bugman can be in there, Malik. I want it all.
Are you
I
sure?
want every era of Donkey Kong validated, vindicated. This should be a big moment for us, and I hope it will be. I'm keeping open-minded no matter what. Like, even if this game just breaks our heart in so many ways, I still am going to go into this as zen-like as possible. You can call that toxic optimism all you want. It's not toxic optimism. It's just trying to keep a level head about this sort of thing. And hopefully getting a really fun game out of it.
And ultimately, I think we will, one way or another, we're going to get a really fun game out of it. I look at it and I'm like, I can't wait to play this.
March Rose says maybe they will have the other stuff in the 2D game. You might be referring to the 2D side-scrolling levels, but that's another great point. Because this is Donkey Kong's home studio now. I know a lot of people will be tempted to view this as a one-off, like Jungle Beat. But after this, we could get a new 2D Donkey Kong game, just the same way that Mario fluctuates between 2D and 3D. This is ground floor for Donkey Kong's future. And I think that's the important thing to also, I feel like, fully reckon with, because we as Donkey Kong fans have not had this since 2002. A reliable home studio that can crank out games faster than one every generation.
No offense, Retro.
No offense, Retro. I love Retro's games. I'm so glad they're part of the history. But it was never tenable for Donkey Kong to stay at Retro, which is why after Tropical Freeze, it went to Vicarious Visions and Activision. Like, they were actually going to take it to Activision to get a Donkey Kong game out. At the time, I guess it would have been on the Switch, but that didn't shake out. Activision be Activision. And so it was a judgment call from Miyamoto from what we heard. It was like, I want Donkey Kong's future secured. We're going to have to do it ourselves. We're going to have to make the space. We're going to have to make the budget. We are going to have to be the internal Donkey Kong developers. And if that means that 3D Mario isn't ready at launch for the Nintendo Switch 2, too fucking bad, because Donkey Kong is my baby.
He's my firstborn child.
Gothic Teddy Bear in the live stream says, Donkey Kong has been gone for so long. I'm just glad the franchise is back. My personal desires and characters can wait. Yeah, and like I said, ground floor. We can have other stuff added, and there's not a force behind the scenes. And I don't mean to single him out. I don't mean to make him the villain of any story. But we do know that a lot of the decision making at Retro that maybe kept characters at arm's length, that was under the directive of Tanabe.
Right.
Whereas this team, they love them some classic Donkey Kong Country. So this isn't just Nintendo hates rare characters. Nintendo hates the Kremlins. Nintendo hates everything I love. This isn't that. This is Nintendo EPD making a very Nintendo EPD looking game. And look, when I heard that Nintendo EPD was going to make Donkey Kong, I knew this isn't going to be one-to-one to my taste. This isn't going to look exactly the way I would want it to look, the way I imagined 3D Donkey Kong would look back when I was playing Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2 and was speculating about, oh, the Nintendo Ultra 64, it's going to be the most amazing thing ever. I'm going to have to get the travel case for it from the Nintendo Power Supplies catalog.
Sure.
I knew there were going to be concessions visually, tonally, and I was okay with that so long as Donkey Kong's future was secure. And again, it's okay if you feel otherwise. It's okay to be disappointed by this. Please process those emotions. Don't put on a grin for my sake, but also respect the people who are looking forward to this. We can find a middle ground as a fandom.
Totally.
And may I just point out, I would feel a lot more trepidatious about this. I would feel a lot worse about this if we didn't have the theme park keeping Diddy Kong, keeping Dixie Kong, Cranky, Ramby, Squawks, Professor fucking Chops in the public consciousness, in the mind's eye. Returns HD is still being promoted. Fucking Nintendo rolled up the Brinks truck to the Rizzler the other day and said, hey, Rizzler, will you promote Donkey Kong Country Returns HD? And I'm just like, okay, thanks. I've been doing it for free, but sure, give the Rizzler all the money. I don't ask for much. Maybe a little dandelion, Malik?
Is the Rizzler a Batman villain I'm not familiar with?
Yeah, he's the one who confounds Batman with all of his Riz. He's the one Vicky Vale left him for.
I was gonna say he just bites people.
Traveler says Hyle saying Rizzler is cursed. I'm sorry, that's his preferred name. What do you want me to call him? Little kid?
I'm not familiar with any of this. I don't even want to look it up. Don't
bother.
Batman villain.
All I'm saying is at the very least, the retro era characters and the rare characters who were buoyed by the retro era are still everywhere in the Donkey Kong brand right now. In fact, holding in my hands right now, do you know what I've got in my hands right now, Malik?
No, I don't, Hyle. What do you have in your hands?
I have something I shouldn't even have yet. I have the Diddy Kong Super Nintendo World Power-Up Band from Epic Universe.
So you have teleportation abilities as well?
No, I have sources. I've had contacts and sources.
You weren't supposed to say that.
Look,
you were supposed to lean into the superpowers.
No, I'm just a well-connected journalist, a well-connected, independent Donkey Kong journalist. But no, I've got the Diddy Kong Power-Up Band in my hand right now. It's heavier than you would think, but this is new Diddy Kong merchandise hitting the stands next month that will be bought by the Rizzler and any other child visiting Epic Universe. And they're going to be exposed to Diddy Kong all over that park. It's like I've been saying. They're going to go home. They're going to be like, God, I love Diddy Kong. He's the fucking coolest. He doesn't wear pants. That's the dream right there. To not wear pants and run around the street when you're really excited with a little bit of pee dribbling out of you and nobody cares. Diddy is my role model. And they might play Donkey Kong Bananza and they might say, it's a shame Diddy is in it, but we don't know if Diddy's not in it or not, do we? We don't know yet.
No, not yet. Who knows? We didn't know Pauline was in Odyssey until the second trailer, so...
Jump Up Superstar, what a trailer. Yeah, so maybe Diddy is going to show up with the DK Rap 2025 in the second trailer.
Let's see it. I mean, we did hear an old banana reference, so... Yeah, maybe we'll get that in the next trailer.
Turns his baseball cap back around again like it's 1995.
Busts out the boombox. The turntables.
Gigastrike says when Diddy Kong isn't on screen, kids should be asking, where's Diddy Kong? I said that about Oppenheimer when I saw that. And I was like, this is a really well-made movie. I really love Christopher Nolan's dedication to a nonlinear story structure, but also could have maybe used a little bit of Diddy Kong in it.
Oppenheimer could have used Diddy Kong in it. Oh, I just realized.
You just realized what I said?
I just did. I was like, wait a minute. Hold on.
So here's where I'm at. Okay. New location, potentially in the Rare Archipelago. New Kongs. The first time we've had new Kongs, outside of the dubiously canon Super Mario Brothers movie Kongs, like the bouncer and the various background baddies in the attractive sense, like, yeah, they could get it, in the Ring of Kong and outside of that, these are the first canonical new Kongs outside of my decree that Pepito Kong is a canonical Kong because I am in the Sea of Thieves credits. Outside of that, these are the first new Kongs since, God, it was Jungle Beat, right?
I think so, yeah.
Like, there were the Hurleys in Barrel Blast. God, Barrel Blast is getting referenced more than it ever has today. But, yeah, I think that's right. Rabid Kong, says Porygon Q. Not technically a Kong. That's a rabbit appropriating the Kong lifestyle. It's not really a Kong, though, is it?
Nah, it's a rabbit first.
Andre says Baboom Kong. I stand corrected, Andre. Here, you can have my little
what
dandelion. You take it, Andre.
What's Baboom Kong?
From Tropical Freeze, Baboom, the boss of World 3.
They don't have the Kong name.
Malik, were you not paying attention? Every Kong in the archipelago is a Kong. The Super Mario Brothers movie confirmed this. They are the Kong army. Doesn't matter whether they're affiliated with Donkey Kong or not. Manky Kong?
Well, he's got the Kong name, though, in his name. But Baboom the Boisterous, that doesn't... You can't call him Baboom the Boisterous Kong.
Yeah, but Retro is a bit daft at naming things, right? I mean, Gongo?
Gongo, Banjo Bottom. Yeah.
No.
That's fair.
Go to hell, Retro. Never come back to the series until you come up with better names.
Toil in the Metroid mines forever.
Well, we're toiling in the mines in this
toiling
new underground
in the monkey
kingdom.
mines. We're thriving.
Terminally Online says Hyle thinks Kong identity is tied to genetics. So sad.
So sad.
Look, Rabid Cranky is a genetic abomination, and I won't hear otherwise. No, but these are the first. Okay, how about this? These are the first primate Kongs since Baboom, but these will probably have the Kong surname, most likely. So therefore, the first since Jungle Beat.
Yeah.
How about that?
And I know they don't have to, but I would like it if their names ended with like a Y or at least like an E, like E Kong, something. I want to see if they can get creative with those names.
Villy Elder says, so Dixie and Diddy are involved in incest then? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying every intelligent simian on Donkey Kong Island and the surrounding islands are a Kong by designation. I did a whole video about the plausible origins of the Kong people called the Tiki Tak Tribe and the Dawn of DK Island. Check it out.
Yeah,
anyway.
Check it out, y'all.
So, yeah, like, my head's still swimming, Malik, and the longer we talk, the more news is going to break and the more out of date our impressions are going to be. So I really feel like we need to start wrapping this up a little bit, because I have a lot of work ahead of me. And
yeah, same.
Do you want to know the sick irony of all of this?
Yes.
You do? Okay. So I was like, I will eat between doing the news articles and the conversation. But I didn't have time to eat because we got a brand new Donkey Kong game. So the only thing I had to eat today was a banana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ate a banana too before the direct.
Yeah. So I'm just purely fueled by one single solitary banana. The banana, by the way. The banana, the freshest Donkey Kong character. Have we even seen normal bananas in this? Or have they all just been like rock bananas, granite bananas?
I think if you want to count when DK had like bananas in his eyes, that's a case of a regular banana. They weren't like shimmering.
Yeah,
but
okay.
That's it. No, they've mostly been golden rocks.
Yeah. The banana is not in the game. So this is worse than Jungle Beat. By the transitive powers of fresh characters.
Yep.
No, we have a naughty fossil in the game. We won, everyone. This is the best day for Donkey Kong fans since 2018 and King K. Rool getting announced for Smash. Now, look, I'm excited about Donkey Kong Bonanza. By the way, love the name. It's so dumb. It's so utterly stupid. It's the kind of tortured pun that I feel like we would come up with or Rare would have come up with. It's the kind of pun that most people are going to miss. They're not, their mind's going to read it like Bananza, like the Western. Like,
I missed it the first time.
I did recognize it, but then my spell check kept changing it to Bonanza, and I didn't actually catch that until I had to have my spell check add Bananza with the A. And everything's cool now. Spell check and I, we're A-okay.
Yeah. I have to do the same.
Yeah. See, CB, first time chatter, and the awards from Frasier that they try to get every year. Remember the CB episodes, Malik?
I've never seen Frasier.
I know. CB.
CB
says.
You knew I was going to say that.
CB says, I gotta scroll up. This chat's moving too fast. I'm not used to this. CB was asking if the Donkey Kong miner outfit will be in Mario Kart World or Mario Kart World, excuse me, or will Bananza Donkey Kong be added to Jamboree? I don't think they're going to update Donkey Kong's look in Jamboree, but I would imagine his miner costume might be in World. I could see that for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. We don't know. We don't know if like he's going to have the gladiator costume in World from Mario Kart Tour. Considering it's a whole new DK model, they would have to tweak it to make it fit, but I hope we get Gladiator DK back.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Traveler of the Star says, you didn't bring up the ostriches, Hyle. I feel like I brought up the ostriches.
We talked about the ostriches.
My thing is, I don't think the ostriches are necessarily espresso, but I could see espresso appearing somewhere in the ostrich world.
I'm just happy seeing ostriches, though.
Yeah, Koopa Troopa 621 is backing me up. I'm aligned with the Koopas, despite what I said about preferring Wart. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Kremlin Cutthroat says, what if the gladiator costume was actually a costume in Bananza that they revealed early? It's possible he could go to a sex hotel and dress up as a sexy gladiator and have some sex.
I guess.
It's the only reason you would dress up as a gladiator in 2025 is kinky roleplay.
Apparently. I'm just learning about this.
Yes, Chris points out there are several female ostriches in DKC2 GBA. I didn't neglect to mention the racing ostriches from DKC2 GBA. I brought up Minogue and Papa Laws and Mbazi, and there's also Steamy.
Steamy.
There's Beardy. Beardy's one of them. Look, they could really impress us and have Minogue in Donkey Kong Bonanza, and then it would be like K. Rool who? Diddy who? We have fucking Minogue. It's the Minoga-sans, everyone, on Nintendo Switch too.
What if they had one? What if they had one? It was called Kylie instead. What would
that's what Minogue is named after, Kylie Minogue.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like how they misspelled Rattly in Odyssey. It's like so close.
Chris says, you keep avoiding saying Stinky the Ostrich. I gotta save something for the 9 other Donkey Kong Bonanza episodes I'm doing in the next month, okay? And yes, Donkey Kong and his mining hat that was cut from DKC 1. That's a reference. I'll allow that, Gothic Teddy Bear. So yeah, cautiously optimistic, but you know what? At the end of the day, I am happy that it's done. I'm happy that it has been revealed. I'm happy that the monkey is off my back as far as Donkey Kong EPD is concerned. Granted, they put a big boulder on my back instead, but you know, that's progress for you.
Yeah. You saw that coming a mile away.
I bet you didn't see this coming, though, Malik.
What?
You ready for this? So I realized that people who were tuning in, because back in season 7 of the Kongversation, I promised that we would be doing a 4th part of the Nintendo Power Supplies catalog series, I realized people might feel shortchanged because all I did was talk about the N64 accessories from the Winter 96 catalog. It really wasn't an in-depth revisiting of the Power Supplies catalog. And you're going to say, Hyle, I don't care about Donkey Kong Bonanza. I came for the Nintendo Power Supplies catalog content. When is the Nintendo Power Supplies catalog part 5? Well, considering I'm so good at predicting when episodes are going to align with huge new DKU games, I'll say that the 5th installment of Nintendo Power Supplies catalog episodes will be the same day the next Conquer game is announced, Malik. It will be...
When would that be?
It will be uploaded October 2032. Can't wait.
Okay. Yeah.
This has been a File 2 production.
¡Qué rico!